Patrick Gookin. I'm the product manager for the Novell Compliance Management Platform. And we're here at BrainShare, and I'd like to show you what we're demonstrating for the Compliance Management Platform and its integration with SAP. So the first thing we're going to do is to log into the role-based provisioning module. And we're going to look at a user's access and what that user currently has. The user is in the role of an accounting clerk. And we're going to show what that gives that user from a permissions perspective. And then we're going to promote that person to the role of an accountant manager. And we're going to see how that change is managed in the role-based provisioning module, how we integrate with GRC access control to let the business make the access decision while the compliance management platform performs the actual provisioning. So here we're actually selecting the user, Bill Dacey. And we can see that Bill's in the role of accounts payable clerk. Now we're going to look at what applications that gives Bill access to. So it gives Bill access to SAP and allows him to do invoice processing. So we're going to log in and show you that, where Bill's in SAP, he can log in, he can do this basic function within SAP. Again, this is by virtue of his being in the accounting clerk role. So Bill can post vendor invoices in SAP. Bill's also a member of an Active Directory group. So we're going to show you that in Active Directory. He's in the group for accounting clerks. So we're going to select the accounting clerk role, and Bill's in that role. And again, this is just to show you that because of his membership in the role, it gives him these two permissions. So now we're going to show you how permissions are mapped to roles within the solution set. We have a product called the Role Mapping Administrator. In the Role Mapping Administrator, we're going to log into this tool. And what this allows us to do is to map enterprise roles to entitlements in various systems. So on the left-hand side, we can see all of the enterprise roles. And on the right-hand side, we can see the entitlements from the various systems. And if we select the accounts payable clerk, we can see that those two permissions that we talked about earlier have been mapped to that role. Now we'll select the account manager role. That's the role that Bill's going to be promoted to. And we'll see that has a completely different set of permissions. It has a different membership, and it has membership in a different group. And it has additional SAP permissions to do portal access within SAP. So now we're back in role-based provisioning, and we're going to go through the process of promoting Bill to the accountant manager role and see how that process works. Bill's boss is going to request access for Bill to become an accountant manager. When he requests that access, we need to call out to SAP GRC access control to do a risk analysis. So Bill's going to enter in here and say that the reason he needs to change this role is because Bill's becoming an accountant manager. He's going to select the role of accountant manager, and he's going to submit this. Once he submits it, the access check is done within GRC. And this is going to come back with all of the potential conflicts that membership in this role might entail. So the request was submitted successfully. And now if we look at that request, we're going to be able to see a lot of conflicts. And this is because Bill was in one role that had certain permissions. He's been placed in another role that has additional permissions, and there's separation of duty conflicts between those roles. So Bill's boss can see all of these separation of duty constraints, and he can choose whether or not to go ahead with this request. In this case, he's going to say yes, because this user needs both of those permissions for a period of time, an overlapping period of time. He submits this, and this will then allow the process to continue. This will make a request to GRC access control to actually put that person in these, to give that person these permissions. So he submits that request, and now that request has been submitted to SAP. So we're going to go into SAP access control and see how that request is managed. So here a user, Sandra, is logging into the compliant user provisioning aspect of SAP GRC access control. And Sandra is going to see that request for access. Sandra will open that request. And now Sandra can either approve or deny the request, or she can run a risk analysis. She's going to choose to run the risk analysis. The results of the risk analysis will be the same that was presented to the user on the provisioning side, but now the business is able to put that in the context of the business and do mitigation. If they decide that it's appropriate to grant that person access, they need to mitigate those violations by creating mitigating controls. So for each of these violation sets, Sandra's going to go in, she's going to open that violation and examine it and create a mitigating control. So Sandra goes through this process for each one of these separation of duty constraints. Sandra's going to continue to do this, continue to go for each one and create a mitigating control. And she needs to do that before she can actually approve this request, because there are these outstanding access violations. She's going to mitigate the final, she's going to create a mitigating control for the final set of separation of duty constraints. And then once she's completed this, she'll be able to approve the access. So now we'll see Sandra actually do the approval within SAP GRC Access Control. Once she submits that approval, the message will go back to the RBPM provisioning system, which will allow the provisioning to be completed, and Bill will then get the additional access that was requested by his manager. So now we can go back into the role-based provisioning system. We can look at Bill's role assignments. And we can see that now Bill has been made a member of the accountant manager role. Now that he's an accountant manager, we'll go in and see that he can actually access the additional systems that were granted because of this access. So we're going to go back into SAP, where previously he could only post invoices, and now he has additional access to change and reverse vendor documents. We'll also go into Active Directory and see that now he's been made a member of the Active Directory group as well. And that membership in the Active Directory group is going to allow Bill to access the SAP portal. Here's our Active Directory access. And here we show Bill logging into SAP NetWeaver. So what we've been able to do is to take the compliant management platform's provisioning capabilities, and we've been able to integrate them with SAP GRC Access Control. So the compliant management platform can manage the provisioning of users using roles, and can integrate with access control so the business can make the decision about who should have access to what. It's a really nice, seamless integration between these two products.